today's program, we're honored to have some people who are interested in something that should affect most of us at one point in time or not, and it's called the arts. And we have with us Miss Tracy Baylor, and she is a consultant with Clark's Art Consulting, and we have Mr. Keith Ramsey, and I'd like to welcome them to the program.
Thank you.
And Mr. Ramsey, tell me a little bit about yourself and your diluted loss.
Okay. Well, I'm a graphic designer by trade, and then went to VCU as a fine artist and graduated back in 1998 as a fine artist. And with Diluted Loss, it came along in 2003. I wanted to work on it because I started seeing a lot of different documentaries about soldiers of World War II and you know what they went through, and every documentary kind of didn't talk about black soldiers. They talked about everybody else, the Italians, the white soldiers and everything, but black soldiers weren't well represented.
Okay.
And I just felt like I wanted to speak about it because it was how can you forget what they went through, because they went through a lot more than people would want to admit.
Okay. Now let me say that I'm gonna tell you what I'm gonna do while we're talking. You're mentioning soldiers of World War II and how they were treated.
Yeah.
What effect would it have on you if you were to be talking to a World War II veteran who was there?
It'd be pretty powerful, I guess.
Well, I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to hook you up with a gentleman who was in Normandy.
Ooh.
He was with the Alpine. He was a surveyor with the Alpine Highway. He was, like I said, in World War II at D-Day, and so we're gonna get him on the line, and so he can hear what you have to say, and also hopefully we'll be able to dialogue together. I'm going to try to get him on the line here in just a second.
Okay.
But Mr. Reginald Arthur Beverly.
Oh, just a moment.
Okay, all right. And we're going to get him on the line, and the two of you can dialogue together, and we can hear exactly. Mr. Beverly? How you doing? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, great. Mr. Beverly, I have with us today a young man whose name is Keith Ramsey. And this young man is an artist, and he is performing his art, and he's also putting on a presentation, and the subject is called The Diluted Loss, which actually epitomizes the life of the African-American soldier during World War II. Does that sound familiar to you?
Yes.
I wonder why. And I was telling this young gentleman, I said, if you want to talk to somebody that knows something about World War II and about what went on, maybe you want to talk to Mr. Beverly. What do you think?
That's all right.
Mr. Ramsey?
Hey, how you doing, Mr. Beverly? Afternoon to you.
Hello?
Can you hear it? Okay, good. Go ahead, Mr. Ramsey. If you got some questions from Mr. Beverly, you got your chance.
Well, first of all, I'd like to say I hope you had a good Memorial Day on Monday, because I hope everybody didn't just bring hot dogs and remember to bring the hamburger buns and everything, but also remember the soldiers that served. But so you were at Normandy?
That's right. It's Normandy Beach.
Really? Was this 1944 or?
I'll say 44.
Now, prior to that, Mr. Beverly was a surveyor on what we know as the Alpine Highway.
That's right.
And he was with, what was the engineers group, sir?
The 95th Engineer Regiment.
Right. And they built a highway between Canada and Alaska.
We did 300 miles of the highway.
Okay.
The highway was 1,500 miles long, but the 95th Engineers, we finished 300 miles of the highway.
Now, of that 300 miles, he also has the distinct opportunity to have been a part of what they call the Black Veterans Bridge.
Yes.
And they staked their salary that they could build a bridge in less than 4 days. Tell us what happened, Mr. Beverly.
Okay, they finished the bridge in much less than 4 days, about half of the time, across the near the Peace River and further up in the Yukon Territory.
Okay, and that, ironically enough, we're talking 1943. 43?
Yeah.
And it is still standing today. How about that, Mr. Ramsey?
That is awesome. I do remember these stories. I've seen documentaries on it.
Some of the abutments are there. They have built a new bridge since, but when I was in Alaska for 50 years later, in 1992, the abutments were still there.
And as I understand, it was a mite bit chilly during that escapade?
Yes, anywhere from 20 to 40 degrees below zero, and the coldest I've seen it in the Yukon Territory was 68 below zero.
68 below zero.
Right.
How about that? Well. We're talking about black Americans, African Americans, and history. And then when you left there, you went from that job or from that assignment. You were then going over to you were going to Normandy right after that.
That's right. We came to Camp Cleveland, Louisiana, and took rifle marksmanship, and then we were over on the Southampton, England, to build camps for mobilization of D-Day.
So you were there before the fight even started.
Yeah, before D-Day.
I just thought you'd like to know that, Mr. Ramsey, in case you want to talk a little bit about history. What do you think?
This is phenomenal, actually.
Yeah, I know. This doesn't come around too often, and I thought it was rather interesting.
Mr. Beverly,
yes.
And when you were in Alaska and building the highway, were your officers white, or did you have black commanding officers?
We had white commanding officers. The only black officer was the chaplain, Reverend Carroll.
Oh, okay.
All right.
And how were y'all treated by your officer? Did they treat? I know chances are they treated you a lot differently than they did their white soldiers. But were y'all treated, in your view, fairly, or were you mistreated? And what made y'all actually want to bet them that y'all could build this highway, this